This video is specifically brought to you because of a question from a follower who sent me $10 on Cash App. So amazing. Thank you once again. Let's get into the video. You wanted me to talk about the Four Guardians and their strength. So in order to do this, what I'm going to specifically do is I'm going to make a video on every Four Guardian plus Albedo, who's not technically a Four Guardian, as she is the head of them all and not actually classified as a Four Guardian. But let's get into the video. Right now, we're talking about Shaltear Bloodfallen. As you should be able to tell by the video itself, we're going to be talking about her backstory, her personality, her powers, her abilities, and her strength in combat. And to start us off, we're going to go talk about how she was created. So, in order to start this off, what I'm going to talk about is kind of how she was created. And when we're talking about that, we have to talk a little bit about Peroncino, one of the founding members of OverGoat, and the creator of Shaltear Bloodfallen. So one of the things you need to know is she was actually created so he could express his perversions and love of hentai games. Weird backstory, I know, but it is what it is. The interesting thing that makes that up about that is specifically she's essentially just an OC for a hardcore hentai game. She was one of the things about her, she was given a wide variety of outfits so she can dress up for her master's perversions and her own. She was even programmed with many fetishes for herself, like sadomasochism, pet play, necrophilia, and many, many, many more. In her coding, it also does seem that she was inherently coded to have a sibling rivalry with Ora Bellafiore, who is a creation of Peroncino's sister, as you know, one of the Four Guardians herself. One of the last bits of information that we get into that isn't inherently about any inherent backstory is one of the things that she is known to do and enjoys is to patrol the first to the third floor. And her favorite leisure type of thing to do seems to be to take baths, get a facial, and it is heavily implied that she acts on her perversions with her vampiric maids, often leading to very violent sessions. Some people uncomfortable when talking about Shaltear Bloodfallen, you must talk about the sexual nature of her, as she is sexuality in every bit of her being. It's in her lore and everything about her. An interesting fact about her, specifically when she was created, is that Peroncino had every bit of intention to actually have her be a straight-up lolly. And the thing is, Peroncino actually didn't quite design her himself because he wasn't very good at it. He had help from one of his guild members, but the thing about his guild member is he didn't like lollies, which is entirely understandable. So what he did is he actually gave Shaltear breasts in the game itself. But Peroncino, in her backstory, in her coding, decided to put it in that she just stuffs her bra. So when she came to the new world, she just stuffs her bra a lot with breast pads. So she is, in fact, a lolly in verse, as long as you're talking about her outside of the game. She's also likely the only one that actually likes Ainz for who he is, specifically in Undead. Now, whether that is as deep as Albedo's love, who's literally coded to love Ainz, is up for grabs, or up for interpretation. But I do want to point out that, technically speaking, how she was designed is essentially would have her fall in love with Ainz Ulgon, previously known as Momonga. And due to this, of her actual attraction to Ainz, she often gets in fights with Albedo, who, like I said before, was inherently coded to love Ainz due to his intervention in the beginning of the series. Showing this info card here, we can actually get a little bit more into her actual abilities and class levels and racial levels and things of that nature. We can kind of talk about her build. Shaltear Bloodfallen's build is actually probably more well known than most NPCs in all of Nazarick, except maybe Ainz Ulgon himself. And the reason that is because, well, her fight with Ainz. She personally has had more combat time, or at least more screen time, with her actually fighting than any other being in Nazarick. Because when most beings in Nazarick fight New Worlders, it ends in a single hit. While Shaltear Bloodfallen fought Ainz Ulgon. And as you know, this fight lasted a lot longer. We got to see a lot more abilities. One of which, that was very effective, especially against Ainz, was the fact that she's a cleric. And interestingly enough, she actually doesn't like the fact of who she worships. She thinks that it is disrespectful that she worships someone who the supreme beings fought and killed. And it's actually a bit bothering to her. But since it's in her nature to literally follow what the supreme beings put as her settings, she at the same time obviously worships this lesser being. Now I'm going to go into a bit of the number crunchy stuff. As we see here, she's got 10 levels of Vampire, 10 levels in True Vampire, 5 in Valkyrie, 5 in Cursed Knight, 10 in Cleric, and the rest are unknown levels. And with her stat block, you can see that she's actually very well balanced, and has some of the best stats in all of Overlord. Only really topped by 2 other beings in Overlord, neither which are actually Floor Guardians. Now I'm going to go over a bit of her skills, and one of her known passive skills too. She's got some simple skills that even she shares with Ainz, like Animate Dead, which I think actually might be one of the few that she shares with Ainz. Blood Armament, which is one of her own. We don't quite know what that does. Blood Pool allows her to use the store blood from fallen enemies, enables her to use it for magic in place of MP. Brilliant Radiance, which is a wholly offensive spell. Demon Eyes of Attraction, once again, we're not quite sure, but we assume that it's most likely a charm-based eye ability. There is one that I specifically can't really pronounce very well, in Hyar. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. It's when she makes a duplicate of herself. It can't use magic or skills, but its equipment and stats are the same, and what usually Shaltear does is she falls back and starts using offensive ranged magic, while her double actually goes up and starts fighting and taking on melee combat. So basically, you're not just fighting one Shaltear Bloodfallen, you're fighting 2. And that is a deadly, deadly thing to fight. Unless you're Ainz Ooal Gown and have the equipment of 41 supreme beings. Basically cheating. She's got some simple spells like Force Explosion, Force Sanctuary, Gate, Greater Lethal. That's usually used to heal undead, but it can also infect high damage of negative type to an enemy. Greater Teleportation, Implosion, Invisibility, Magic Destruction, Mana Essence, Mass Hold Species, Mist Form, which is when she changes into her astral form, which allows her to evade attacks. Negative Impact Shield, Purifying Javelin, that's that giant spear of light she throws. Regeneration, it's in the name. Silence, Summon Household, that's when she summons all of her little familiars. And in the New World, unlike in the in Yggdrasil, she wasn't able to attack her familiars, but in this one, she is able to heal herself, making her abilities even stronger than her in-game version. She's got things like Time Accelerate, Time Reverse, the Vermilion Nova, Wall of Stone, and of course, her Shaltear's weapon of choice is the Spewit Lance, which is a divine class item given to her by her creator, Peroncino. Each strike that lands on her opponent lets her recover a portion of her HP, which is proportionate to the damage that has been inflicted on the enemy, which is what she did to heal her HP against Ainz Ooal Gown. With all this in mind, and her stats, her class abilities, her racial levels, her job levels, she's actually considered to be the strongest Floor Guardian. I know it's a bit weird to start out with just the strongest, but I've got some more interesting things to actually say about some of the other Floor Guardians. Even who my favorite is of the actual Floor Guardians, Shaltear is up there. I think might be number 2 or 3, but I do have a specific love and a character type. You guys will know more later. If you have any specific questions about Shaltear Bloodfallen that I may have not covered in this video, please comment below. I would be happy to discuss this. This video is already ridiculously long, but I would be happy to go and discuss more in the comment section, or maybe in another video if I have to, about Shaltear Bloodfallen and any questions you may have. I try to avoid spoilers as much as possible. For example, in this upcoming arc in the anime, you will see Shaltear Bloodfallen actually redeem herself a bit. And my prediction is that in the next arc, if it covers what I think it's going to in the light novels, she will get her full redemption, even for her and her thoughts internally. Because if you didn't know, this fight has caused an internal conflict with her, where she herself doesn't view herself as being worthy anymore, because she has betrayed Nazarick and Lord Ainz Ooal Gown, the Sorcerer King.